That is such a deep question. I was like, oh my God. But it's actually funny because one day I just got so frustrated. I was like, I'm going on a man fast. And I was like, I just need to write. So I started talking about my 3 greatest heartbreaks. And they were in different time periods of my life. And I was like, who does this? Like, who am I right now? But I just needed to get it out.
Definitely ignore red flags. Definitely my greatest, realest heartbreak, right? So ignore red flags in that he wasn't mine, right? He wasn't mine. And ignore red flags in that, you know, we didn't have the strongest communication skills, right? We never really resolved anything, so stuff built up. There were moments where I think, I compromised sort of what I knew was right, in service of like what I thought could be. And so I tried to like hold him accountable to that instead of me. I made the decision, right? Like, so that's something that's a big lesson. And I even tell my girlfriends, like, the thing is, you can do you, right? You can do you as long as you're okay with what that means and you're not trying to hold it over his head. I was peak holding everything over his head because I was compromising myself, or at least felt like I was compromising myself around some things. And that's not fair. It wasn't fair to him because I'm a grown person and I make my own decisions. And it wasn't fair to me because, Brittany, you know better. You know better.
Yeah. Talk about heartbreak. How did you heal from it? And
I feel like my first heartbreak was with my husband. Now he's my boyfriend at the time. And what happened was, he was about to go to college, and I was a senior. He was a senior. I was a junior. He was about to go to college. I said, you know what? We should probably just stop talking. You're about to go to college. I don't know. What the wisdom I had at that time, I don't know why. I was just like, he's gonna act crazy. And so he was like, no, baby, we're gonna be good. We're gonna be good. So believed him, all that good stuff. He go off to college. Next thing you know, I'm on the bus riding home. He's like annoyed with me calling him. He's like, I think we don't need to be together. I was like, look at this. And that was the first time I got my heart just broken into pieces.
I do say that was my greatest heartbreak. Wow, I never talk about this. Because when you're young and you feel like you found love, or somebody that genuinely loves you without you giving your body when you've given your body prior to, and you thought that was love, and it was somebody that for years almost you didn't have to share yourself with them, and you felt like they saw you and they understood you.
So I would say for my greatest heartbreak, I learned that it doesn't last forever, that it is a temporary thing. It may seem like it's gonna last forever. It may seem like it will last for all eternity, but it won't. And I would say the other thing I've learned as well is that it isn't always a bad thing. That there's some good that can come from it, whether it allows you to take the time to be or put some perspective on your situation or the decisions that were made in the relationship, maybe allows you to reflect on your own self, where you are in your life. Maybe there are things that you maybe wanted to do, but because you're in a relationship, that wasn't something that you were focused on, even though it might have been something that was really deep and important to you, you put it to the side.
Okay, so my first heartbreak, I think the red flags that I ignored was begging for attention, him being controlling, and I think those were the 2 major red flags. And it taught me that, you know, nobody controls me but me, you know. And even in a relationship, you still should have boundaries, things that you're going to accept and things that you're not going to accept.
So I, again, trying to do therapy on myself. So what I've come to the realization is that all of them had in common betrayal. To be so open and vulnerable with somebody and to have them just totally disregard everything that they've worked through with you, the whole world you created together, and because it was so intimate and it was so real. It was so real, and to have somebody step out of that or not be who they say they are, or decide that this isn't what they want. And I get that, because you're entitled to that. People are people. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but just to have that and to have it end so abruptly, it's really hard.
When I got pregnant, because the first time, like, I can get deep, I can get real with it. The first time we had sex, I got pregnant and I had a miscarriage. So I had to, had to get DNC and all that stuff like that. And then 3 years down the line, I get pregnant with Eli, and I'm 16 weeks. You telling me you can't be there? You can't be there for a baby shower? He was like, so what do you think that, like, I could do? And I'm just like, at least be there for the baby shower. At this point, I'm just trying to get anything. Like, please don't leave me alone. Being alone is one of my worst fears.
This was my greatest heartbreak because Braxton was involved. And so I think that, I come from a 2-parent household. My parents are like, been together since middle school. Like, they know each other in middle school. Like, that's their, I grew up, I didn't even know what co-parenting was until I had to, like, entertain the idea that we were going to be together. And so it was my greatest heartbreak because I had so much expectation. All that expectation that I had built up and vision that I have crafted in my head when we first was together, like, came toppling down. Like, literally worst nightmare. Like, I was like, mind you, I'm pregnant. I'm like, that escalated quickly. Like, it turned out to be exactly the opposite of what I was, like, doing the most to hopefully get to. And so I'm managing, obviously, like, carrying a baby, right? And then also, like, managing the fact that I'm mourning a relationship. So, like, bringing life to the world, but then also, like, mourning and putting to rest, like, what was, in my mind, supposed to be mine, right?
And so in that point, that was the first time I went through depression after that. So I did get very depressed after that. Didn't want to eat or anything like that. I was already skinny as I don't know what. But yeah, so I went through a state of depression then. But what helped me is I just kind of started focusing back on me and not worrying about that. And then just focusing on other people and being like, you know what, it's cool. And I ain't gonna worry about this, and just moved on. So as soon as I did that, there go my husband or my boyfriend at the time running on back. But
Right.
But yeah, so I just
right.
So I just focused on me.
And so that was definitely my greatest heartbreak. And it gets money because he's not going anywhere. Like, and that was tough. That was really tough to come to the realization, like, you know how I don't even remember, like, people who hurt me in high school. I don't remember because they were just not that, like, they were just, like, non-factors. You know what I mean? Like, Evelyn Lozada. They were non-factors. But, like, he's not going anywhere, right? So that's why it was the greatest heartbreak. Fast forward, it's kind of like one of the best things I'm also proud of, right? Because, to some extent, I could, like, we have a really, all things aside, like, healthy co-parenting relationship. And we've come a long way. And I get really proud of myself because Braxton's only 3. And I feel like we get things done that I know people, kids 7, 10, 18, like, still struggling with. You know what I mean? And so, in as much as it's my, like, greatest heartbreak, like, it's also kind of like my greatest, like, kind of like ongoing success story. There's this passage in the Bible, and this is kind of like my analogy that I kind of keep top of mind and kind of even help me, get through, or at least get started in this journey. There's this passage in the Bible where Paul is reflecting and talking to God, and he's like, you know, I have this thorn in my side. He's like, I've asked 3 times for the Lord to take it away. Now, we don't really know what the thorn is, because it's like, you know, I'm pretty sure it's an analogy of sorts. But he's like, I have asked God 3 times to take it away. And I think about that in the context of coming into being a co-parent. I prayed, Lord, please make us work, please make us work. Or like, you know, Lord, please, like, make him change his mind, or like, make me better, make me be enough. Or like, how many times does this have to be my prayer? Like, now you don't want to be in the blessing business, God. You make a 5 time to not be in the blessing business. This is like what's going through my head, like 3 times. I'm pretty sure I asked like 30 times, times 3. Like, I cannot, like, please just take this reality of us not being together and bringing a child into like a broken home. Like, make this not be real.
I felt like I needed him. I was like, I'm not going to be able to make it. And then now having my son, I feel like he felt that when I was pregnant. I felt like he felt all of that. So, and with him, he like, still to this day, like, I don't talk to him. He don't claim Eli. And a part of me is like, you know, when it comes to like that heartbreak, like that man, like we, like everybody even says it, like, so, you know, like sometimes you think it's only you. Mm-hmm. You're the only one that was like deeply in love, and everybody else is like, Nicole, like, you crazy. No, like everybody saw, no, that man loved you. So like when they heard that, like, he not taking care of my son and stuff like that, he not in his life, he hasn't seen him, everybody's confused, because they like, out of all the little things that he was doing or whatever the case may be, he treated you totally different. He told everybody, nah, like, she's off limits, like, and that for some reason made me feel good, like, meaning that you saw something in me, or you at least respected me. But when the reality came down to it, I had to really sit with myself and say, Nick, like, you cannot play the blame game on everything. I gotta hold myself accountable for certain things.
Right.
So, and my greatest heartbreaks involve betrayal, and just really like mourning the loss of who I thought somebody was.
He was negligent. He wasn't taking care of the rest of the children that he has. He only claimed certain ones. Like, he's always been that guy. He's always been that guy. It was just more so the soul ties and the connection or the understanding that I thought we had that broke my heart a little bit. Because, like, even while I was pregnant and after he told me that he couldn't be there, I was still having sex with him. I was still, because I felt that need, like, you all are, like, you was all it is, and, like, I don't see nothing else. And then, so now to the point where after Eli's here and he, you know, things broke my heart when he's like, how am I supposed to know it's mine and things like that. I'm like, I gave my everything, like, everything. I left my whole house. I lost cars. I lost everything. Ran up my credit. I did it all just to show you that I was worthy, not knowing that that's not my job to show you that I'm worthy. I'm worthy on my own. Those are things that I wish I knew when I was younger, that I was worthy without him. What they offer is what it is in the beginning. What Eli's father offered in the beginning wasn't responsibility, care, love. It was more so of a need. Like, he needed what I had to offer. And that's all. And when it was over, it was over. But he was showing me these things through other women that he was dating, that's how he is. And for some reason, I feel like all girls have that notion that you could change somebody. Mm-hmm. You have that, oh no, he wouldn't treat me like that. Like, because I'm better and I have, you know, like, I have this and they don't have that. Like, it was more so like a comparison to, he would never hurt me like that. He would never, if I had he would never leave me. He would never disown his child. He would never, after all that I've done and things like that. And then it comes to the point where, like, I don't know if everybody see on Instagram, they be like, people tell you all the things that they do for you, and then they be like, well, I didn't ask you to. And that's really what it was. He never really asked me to do any of the things that I did.
Right.
Which, I felt like I had to do it to prove myself to him in the end, which still wasn't enough at the end of the day.
Consistency is always a red flag. Like, a lady told me a long time ago, start out like you can hold out. And that is so real. I'm like, you know what? I should have listened. And the minute somebody changes up, regardless of whatever the reason is, and I don't mean change up like they have a bad day, or I don't mean like, you know, there are, you know, other circumstances impacting them. I mean, the fact that you're not demonstrating the same behavior you once had to get me.
Right.
For instance, listening, communication, the basics, right? Being affectionate, the basics.
Mm-hmm.
And when that switches up, that's the biggest red flag.
And so Paul's like, I asked the Lord 3 times, and he never did. He said, he pretty much was like, nah, I'm not taking it out. But it wasn't just for nothing. It's not like he was saying like, no, I'm not going to take it out because you're deserving of this thorn. He never said that. Or no, I'm not going to take it out because that's what you get. You shouldn't have been in the rose bushes. He never said that. He said, I'm not going to take it out because my strength is made perfect when you're weak, right? He said, I'm not going to take it out because this is where you're going to experience me in like a transformative way. And so to some extent, or to all extent, I guess, like my biggest heartbreak or figure is also where like I have experienced sort of like my biggest evolution, my biggest blessing, Braxton being a mother. Going through that as a passageway is how I kind of got to here. It's crazy because I remember talking to a girl who was like following me like on my pregnancy, and she was surprised when I told her that I was going through all of this. And I'm just trying to figure out how, because I thought I was looking at a hot mess. Not just because my nose was big either, like, but because I was just like going through it, right? And I'm like, whoa, that's what God is saying. Like, and it's crazy because in as much as like I have this thorn, folks don't even know I got the thorn because they're just like experiencing this like that has nothing to do with me, right? Because by all accounts, me, was like distraught, like me without God's strength and grace and all these things, me without all that, crying, weak, feeling resentful, trying to feel like how I can get back and all of those things. And it's crazy because in as much as I was experiencing like loss from my standard in that area of life, in another area of life, I'm like experiencing like this overflow. And so at the same time, work is going well. And like my professional self is evolving and like, provision as it relates to like, my living situation, got this house, new car, like all of these other things. I'm experiencing God's overflow. Hey, by the way, this thorn is still in my side.
I was like, oh, he's just like that with them. He's not like that with me. Not realizing that the whole time he is like that with me.
Right.
But they play it they'll play it real well. And I'm not even just saying men, women also. Like, no matter what type of relationship, if people see that if they're not whole themselves and they feel like they need something, some people when they're in survival mode, they'll do anything to get it. They'll play any part. They'll play any role that they have to take everything that they need from you.
When my heart was broken, I felt broken. Like, I literally felt it, like, physically in my chest. Like, so it was not a very good feeling. I was very depressed. I was in a dark place. And the way I came up out of that was, to be honest, I just Googled like how to get over, your ex. And all the things that it told me to do, I literally did, like exercising, keeping yourself busy, surrounding yourself with people that love you. Maybe getting a hobby, something that you enjoy doing. And those were like the main things that got me over the heartbreak. Just keeping myself busy, affirming to myself every day that I matter. It's nothing wrong with me. It just didn't work out. And and just exercising and getting me together physically and mentally.
So that was definitely my biggest heartbreak, but also again, as we talk about evolution, like a passageway to, where I am now. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't got this co-parenting thing figured out. Every now and again, I lean into like fleshy a little bit. Which is why I think it's so powerful to like share this, because by all accounts, we ain't Jada and Mishonda, he's up here, right? But I'm trying and I'm striving and I'm like thinking and evolving and all of this thing. And then also just sharing along the way. not because I got answers, but because perhaps like how I'm processing what I'm thinking and how I'm going through it can be of service to someone else.
So now, after a relationship is over and your heart's been broken, it's time to pick up the pieces, to realize that the heartbreak doesn't make you, and it also doesn't break you. All it is a moment in time, something that maybe you thought was really important and that you're really passionate about, and your relationship that you thought would last didn't last. That's not good. It's gonna feel awful. It's gonna feel like the worst thing, but it's gonna be for a time, and then you're gonna be able to move on from it.